Okay, so beautifuls and beloveds, we're back again. All good things. ... Part 2. That's just a little bit of the things in my life. There's more. There is a lot more. Just to give you some idea of what we're up against here. Now, there are other symbols and names that seem to mean something to these people, and we have pulled it apart and we dug some things up and figured some things out, we're pretty sure anyway. Atlas. Atlas means something to these people. Atlas is, they're very much into the Norse gods and the gods.
Yeah, that would be Greek.
Greek? I'm Greek, too. What else am I? Thank you for that. But they seem to really pay attention to that stuff, and I know of some of it, but I'm not like really into it by any means, but they pretty much are. And we see it a lot. I'm like, obviously an atlas is, a map book. And the god, what did he do?
He was forced to carry the world as like a sentence or something for him.
Right, because he stepped out of line?
Yeah, he was one of the Titans, which I think that meant that he and several others rebelled against the other Greek gods. And I think they all lost the Titans, so they got put in this position.
What a sad thing. Oh my, okay. Jack Frost. Things about being frozen, freezing, means something to these people. We kind of have an idea now. Alexander. That's a big thing. Okay, now, if your name is any of these things, we're not accusing you of anything. We're just saying that they use this as their symbols, and not everybody who has these names or uses these names are trying to be symbolic. We're just saying this is just some stuff we found out. So I'm going to get back to this Alexander thing and tell you about, if you haven't watched my older videos, but on July 24th I had a dream. And this was before I knew anything about any of this stuff. The most I knew is I was dancing about my red ribbons trying to help and stand up against sexual child abuse and human trafficking. I didn't know, because human trafficking it's all about slavery and sexual child abuse, and it's horrible. So I'll go on and come back. Florence, or derivatives of it. Flower, flow. Sarah, princess. Rose, there again, Rose. Things about Black Widow. The Black Widow spider kills its male counterpart.
Yeah.
It marries into the family. This is, film lore. And destroys, so it can gain territory or whatever it wants, whatever it gets. Pink. I don't know if this is an old term or a more contemporary term, but they seem to use that a lot. And I had once said, hey, I want to do a film called Pink. And I said it would be done in the vein of, almost a Monty Python-esque type thing, and using cutout papers and make, cartoons and different things, very strange elements with angels. And I was being funny to see if anybody would steal it, because we were trying to figure out, it was a bookmark, to figure out if that was going to be used for something, remember?
Yeah.
And somebody repeated the idea back to me, and I'm like, how did you get this? You weren't in my living room. So, the light of dawning, it's like, and then we talked to this parole probation officer who knew a lot of stuff about electronics, and I'm like, oh, dang, right?
Yep.
How would I know? I'm an artist. Okay, so we looked into all these names and we found very interesting things. Some of these things are used for programming. That's something very much in common with the Third Reich, to program. I did a series on that back here, remember? about the Third Reich and programming. Where was that? Oh, it's back here someplace. Oh yeah, here. Wait. Evil. Access Third Reich. Enslaved. Yeah. Propaganda. Sorry, hon. Propaganda cartoons. I did that, I want to say about a month ago at least. So, you know, we found a lot of interesting things out about this. Okay, so predictive programming really isn't predictive because predictive programming is saying, oh, what a coincidence. They're prophets, they're prophesying. But no. I don't believe in predictive programming. Prophets, yes, but these people were not called of God, and they've been wrong. So this was a programming, just programming. That's all it was. It was getting people pre-programmed. Or you can look at it as an SOS. You want to talk about the SOS? Because
sure.
you caught on to that before I did. That was interesting.
Yeah, so on TV, film, all of that, these people, they do hint drops to all these things that we've mentioned. Some of it, let's just say half of it, is based on malice to basically destroy the world while using hint drops to basically threaten and do certain things like that, terrorize. The other half are people who are trying to send out an SOS, trying to tell people what is happening. People did this because there's no other real way to actually fight a Cold War in this psychological hint drop manipulation-based sense.
Well, yeah, look at it from their point of view. You have to send out an SOS signal. What do you use? Morse code? You use the media. And hope that somebody like us is going to understand this. Because if they actually were to speak out and say, hey, like we are, I mean, they would be,
Yeah.
that would be it, people. And they know that. And, you know, we've seen some interesting things, and we're like, oh, I wonder if they were thinking about, you know, talking or something. So it's like with us, we're like, we have nothing to lose, really. At this point, we don't really care. And if anything happens to us, oh boy, these people. So we are like the best candidates to come forward, actually. Reluctantly, you know, you gave me no choice. It's like, I can't do anything anymore. Everything I try to do is ruined, not by my own hands, but by theirs. And I'm like, really? Clowns getting out of a clown car. You drew too much attention to yourselves now. It's your own fault. So, and I'm very courageous anyway. I've always been so. And, you know, I don't let anybody intimidate me. I'm like, excuse me? And you weren't one of my beautifuls or beloveds, so there was no being patient. You guys are just evil and nasty, horrible people. So, you know, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. And thank you to those who put those videos and things right there for us to find and watch and see and say, oh my gosh. Excuse me, because once you see it, it's very blatant. There's no guesswork. It's like, wow. And I'm like, I haven't seen a lot of this stuff. It came before my time even. And I'm like, I did watch it, some of it when I was a kid. I didn't pick up on it. You just kind of wonder if anybody else is picking up on it.
Yeah.
So, you can thank us later. Okay. So, let's get back to this dream thing that I had on July 24th. I'm not giving away the year because these people are real SOBs. So, on July 24th, I fell asleep and I had a dream. And this is the dream. In the dream, we were walking west. Oh my gosh, I have this so detailed. It's pretty amazing. West on a sidewalk past a home with an open dark archway. It had an arbor too, and it was, I think it was rectangular, and the open archway was like if you look through that, and we were on the sidewalk and we were looking through. And a woman saw us and said, "Come in and see." Okay. And I remember the feeling. And usually when I dream, I mean, some people have very vivid dreams, and this was one of them. And it wasn't on the crest of getting sick, because sometimes when you get sick, the bacteria and all this stuff can make you have very intense vivid dreams, migraines. I was completely fine. And I just was having a really bad dream, in a sense, or so I thought. And I felt the air, and it felt like age. Not old age as in a human being, but the world had aged and felt very heavy and steel-like. If you think of steel, cold, piercing, it has a power and an energy all unto itself, and it almost tasted like steel in the air. I remember this very vividly. And we went in and we sat down, and there was a knife on my right, a little daggery type knife, and there's a table along with cards, like tarot cards, but I used to play around with tarot cards when I was a kid, my mom and everything like that, and these were not tarot cards by any means. These had other designs on them. And if you read my children's version of Red Ribbons, my children's book, I go into a lot of detail about what these cards look like, and it's pretty amazing. So I sat in a high back wicker chair, and so did the seer, S-E-E-R, seer. That's a hard word for me to pronounce. And she reached out to touch my right hand and diverted and touched the knife. So I was about to reach out and grab that knife, and I didn't know why. I think it was for protection. That was the feeling. And then you said, "I won't leave you." And then you held my left hand. And then the seer said, "Close your eyes." And right there, I saw everything as the seer was seeing it too. And I said at the same time, she said, a demon named Alexander was sent to, and I slammed my hands down on the table, and I stood up and said, to destroy me at the same time as the seer. And she didn't say destroy you, she said destroy me, because we said the same exact words at the same time. So, and then that was pretty much it. But I was like, I had a mission, and then I clasped the dagger, and I knew I was sent as a warrior, and I didn't know what kind of warrior. Obviously, I'm not going to be physically fighting anybody unless you come at me physically, fight force with force. So, yeah, out of protection. But, if nobody gives me a reason and I'm not provoked, there's no reason to attack. I got too many better things to do, like sing, dance, act, play, and love on people and help. So after that, I woke up, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience. Probably you have, because this is not unique to anybody. When you wake up from a dream, especially if this intense and this vivid, it takes you a minute to make sure that you are awake, and it was a very strange feeling. And sometimes I don't remember my dreams if they mean nothing. And I knew I had been touched by something more supernatural than anything else and bigger than me. And I'm like, okay, test the spirits. The Bible says, test the spirits. What kind of dream is this? Is this evil? Is it a threat? Where did it come from, basically? So we started with looking up different things. And we looked up the meaning of Alexander. And it's a beautiful name, I think. It's a very strong name. And in the right hands, and in godly hands, and in good people's hands, it means defender of man. Defender of man, my dream said, sent to destroy me. I'm not a bad person. So right away, I knew that this was no defender of man, but how strange. Lucifer means bearer of light, complete opposite of God's will after Lucifer fell. We know angels have names, as in the Bible. Demons are fallen angels. It could be that this demon is real and is out to get me. This is weird. Satan takes all of God's plans, peoples, etc., and makes them opposite. Completely. So this was the beginning of my video, as sermon-esque video, and more evidence that if this paper is tested with the ink, it backdates and predates a certain pastor who stole this from me. You got problems, son. Okay, just saying. So I made a video talking about this very aspect. These are, how can you tell the difference between Satan or satanic-like actions and godly or godlike actions, and where certain things come from. Well, like I said, you have the evil column and all these traits and godly traits, and basically Satan mocks and mimics, badly mimics God. I've got people out there who are mimicking me and mocking me too with their mimicking. So they're not the authentic, genuine article. Meaning they're not me. They are not even doing parody or spoof. They are just wanting to steal from me, and that's what Satan does. The Satan column, the God column, and you have all these traits. So they're stealing. And if you flip it around, basically Satan's a mockery of God. Satan is the nemesis of God in a sense, but God is 100 million billions times stronger. And when Satan fell, he took a third of the angels with him, right? So you have all of those people. So I found it very interesting to say, oh, duh, this is a satanic demon named Alexander, like for reals. You know, you have names of the angels in the Bible, and they're there to help. So when Lucifer fell, his name took on, and he took on the character traits. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Of evil, of satanic actions. So Satan was now, instead of a bearer of light, he was a bearer of darkness. Alexander, the defender of man, became a destroyer of man. And so I'm like, Lord, can you kind of like show me some good angels for a change? Can you show me some good stuff, right? And I did see some beauty in my life, like just as real manifest in my life. So we were going back and forward with all this dream stuff and wondering, is this right, is this wrong, what are we doing? And then not too long after that, I'm not going to show this, but, whoops, let me cover this up real quick, because I really don't want to show it yet. We will at some point. We started getting, I guess, confirmation. I don't know, but we were getting things sent to us in the mail, and we were seeing all of this Alexander popping up all of a sudden. And I'm like, okay, we have to consider a couple things. The corporations, not all corporations are doing this, guys, don't freak out. Just some corrupt ones. And so we had to say, okay, well, maybe they're just trying to now scare me because they heard what I said about my dream. But then we started doing some research. Before I had this dream, we had gotten a hold of a catalog. I won't say what exact catalog, but it was from one of my beloveds with things I had to look for something I do. Just think about what I do. And we were like, oh, it's interesting. We saw this corporation tied in with this corporation and that name, remember?
Yeah.
And we were like, I wonder if one of my beloveds was having this problem too, in some smaller way. Because, I don't know, beloved, have you ever had issues with an Alexander anything? I'm just kind of concerned and wondering, like an imaginary friend, or I don't know. And I'm obviously not pinning this on that person, but they could have been a target themselves. So I'm like, is Alexander a code name for something? You know, it's like, how do you translate what happens in the supernatural into the real world? Like, is there like a real angel demon going around with his name Alexander, and in the heavenlies that we don't see, although sometimes they do make themselves known, type of a thing? Are they actually, or is it symbolic, or is it both, or, you know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
Well, the actual names of angels and demons are not, what do you call it? They're not the English version of these names that we say that they are. That's for starters. However, the meaning of each angel's whatever is probably accurate. So it could be that there is one, and these, you know, bad people, they just do this and they pick up on things and they start labeling stuff.
Kind of riding with it.
Yeah, or it's possible they just also by coincidence hit upon that same thing, trying to create something bad that could actually be spiritually in existence. So like they see the name because they're looking for something to be a symbol for something for themselves. They see this, they switch it to the opposite, possibly not realizing it could be an actual demon that has that name, that does that bad thing.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Oh, like all these other symbols and names, it's part of the thing they do.
Because the thing is, all these things that the bad people do seems to always come back to money. So that tells me that they're a lot less cultish than people think that they would be.
Oh,
they just take advantage of cults and religion. Two different things, obviously, but take advantage of anything that is considered to be spiritual and use it as a psychological advantage.
Oh, right, like 666. Everybody knows that's a sign for Satan, Antichrist.
Well, yeah, if it comes back to them in money, then they probably don't think that much about the spiritual stuff being real. Could be certain ones in their group that do, but that's what I think.
And they prey upon superstition.
And they create the superstition, they create the symbols out of it.
Okay. So that's why you gotta be careful, because 666 is the mark of the beast, and you know that whole thing with, we're trying to figure out, not just me, and not just you, but the world forever has been trying to figure out in what form will Antichrist come. And I think some of these people have been trying to force, you know, the millennium or the Antichrist, and it's like, guys, you're not Antichrist. You don't have the makeup. You don't have the genetic anything. You don't fall in line with Scripture if you actually look at it, because we've been in the end times since Jesus' ascension into heaven, and this is going to take as long as it takes, people. You can't make it happen. God can use anything, but this ain't it. And I think that you're right. They may have used it, preyed upon people's superstition, instead of really reading the Bible and understanding it.
Yep.
Got it. And it just so happens there may be a demon called Alexander. Did I get you right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
How fun. Okay. Not really. Very interesting stuff. So, yeah, I found that very interesting. And if it weren't for us finding certain catalogs, certain pieces, documentation with the name coupled with certain corporations involved with it too, I would have thought, okay, well, maybe they're just hearing me and just trying to freak me out or something. But this happened long before the dream. Long before the dream, all this stuff. And, you know, we have it still. So this has been going on for a while, whatever you want to call this whole thing. And we're going to make sure it stops. Us and our really powerful, wonderful friends. Because this can't go on. Society will not be able to bear up under the weight of this. It really. That's what makes me so mad when people come down hard on President Trump. Because I'm like, what do you think he's doing? He is actually trying to fix a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. People just got so brainwashed. And I'm like, I'm showing you how I broke all this down. I'm not brainwashed. I cannot stand it. I can't stand cult-like things. I just can't. I love the Lord. Please don't misunderstand me. I love the good Christians, the real Christians, the people who are Jewish, who follow their faith for real, you know. Or anybody that follows their faith for real that doesn't get weird. I can't hack it. You know, it's just like wake up and put some logic pills in your food or something. I don't know, you know. So, you know, I give a lot of consideration, and I'm very, very leery about certain things. I'm very, very cautious because I look for signs too. But the Bible says be a Berean, and you have to compare everything with Scripture. You have to compare everything with science even. Because if it doesn't hold up, you ain't got nothing. And so that's what I do. So I'm very careful. And this dream, like I said, it just showed me. Now, let's put the icing on the cake. In March 2017, I had another dream. It was about the corporations, the evil, bad corporations, actually. And you're getting that half, like, sleep where you're just about going to sleep or just about waking up. So I used to have on the back of this, actually, it was my butterfly blanket that my beautifuls and beloveds made for me when we did the Silent Rose. It was my gift that they gave, and I love it. I still have it, and it had like little swirlies in it. And as I was coming out of the dream, it's really interesting, but the Lord showed me a diagram that had like swirlies. And it showed how there's a nucleus and all these other swirlies or circles really are connected to the bigger and all the other things as well. And it's basically the 7 pillars of society. But I remember I woke up, and again, right away I tell my beloveds on this end, and it was just so staggering. I'm like, oh my God, do you think this is really how it is? Do you really think this is how it is? That everybody is put someplace. It looks organic. It seems to happen organically. But I don't think it does now. I think so many of us are shoved. Okay, you're taken care of. Okay, you're taken care of. Who's this Noelle Rose? Although you guys, you've known me for a while. Don't act cute here. Yeah, Matt Noelle. Made a mistake. They did. Don't do that. So I was like, and again, I keep saying this, but it's not all the corporations. And I think a lot of people are like, Lord in heaven, please help us, spare us. I think a lot of people need a lot of help. You know, we see it as, oh, they just got their stocks bought out and they were swallowed up in hostile takeover, or, you know, whatever. But there's a lot more than meets the eye here. So we started, mostly you, started researching corporations, board members, everything, because it's like, oh my God, let's get this stuff out of our lives. And it is so hard. It's like having an infestation that bad. How do you find out? Are all of the entities that we operate with, are they, because we want to know who owns it? Because if you're a bad guy, we don't want to have anything to do with you. please forgive us. Not really, but you know what I'm saying? We really just want to be with good people, and we were trying to mind our own business, but when you start drawing too much attention to yourselves, destroying. Beautifuls and beloved, so this is part 3 to all good things. So once you start destroying things in my life and going through flesh, in a sense, that's enough. You know, it's like, wrong girl you picked on. So, you know, we started piecing all these things together. And we're like, okay, this company, who owns it? It's an affiliate, it's a third party, where we need to know all these things because it's quite devious, some of it. And so that was March of 2017. And then soon after that, I mean, within maybe a week or two, we caught a really horrible virus that hasn't completely gone away. It's not AIDS. I'm not laughing at that, but I mean, I don't know what the heck it is. And apparently some people have died from it. And we would like to know what we have. And we would like to know why my medical records disappeared. We would like to know why page 1 of the fax with my test results was like, I don't know, disappeared. It existed and now it's gone. You know? I want to know what's going on here. And I had one said, because I had gotten sick in the hospital trying to give birth. And, you know, it was really kind of interesting because I got over that eventually. But I said, remember, and the corporations were listening, if I ever had to get sick again like that, and I was jesting, you know, I have a sarcastic sense of humor, I wouldn't want to go through it alone, just to make sure that I knew that it wasn't an imaginary thing. Put it together. So I'm pissed because it's like, we're going on 3 years now, and it was worse when we first got it, and then we cleared it up and it would be gone for a while. We think it's connected to what they're spraying in the air, to what we're around toxicity wise. It was the same kind of thing that I went through, and then you know where I was, but we need to know what it is so we can heal. We're doing pretty good considering, because other people we've met other people who have had this, they're not doing as good as we are. So yeah, we're doing something right. But come on now. So that's a lot. And you know, whatever it takes, thank me later. We're not done yet. Wait, where did we start? We did that one. I did that one, little one yesterday. All good things must come to an end. All bad and evil things must come to an end. How about those cookies? We're done. So we are working very hard. So, all that just to do this. We're working very hard to resolve all of these things, and we are standing up for the truth. It's very well documented that we were the ones who came forward with this. It's very well documented that we don't take people's crap. It's very well documented that we are so pissed off that that's it, people. I'm going through my life in many forms. Oh wait, we found some amazing pictures. When we get the thumbs up and the A-OK to share it, we are looking forward to the day. Because no joke, you will see these photos of me when I was younger and just go, right? Mm-hmm. And all of what we're talking about is say, well, no shit. And go, oh my God. Because I was like, wait a minute. So the bad thing is that a lot of people in my family died. The good thing about that, if you can twist it and make it so, is that there was some saving graces in it, because when they died, that means I usually got the non-valuable but extremely valuable things like photos papers and documents and little things that have no real value, or do they? I would have to say now they do. And so thank you, Mama. You know, go and figure. Really, a box of junk. What's a box of junk worth? Well, like I said, it's worth $1 million in more words and more ways than one. Weren't you a little stunned when you saw some of that stuff?
Yeah.
Were you surprised?
No, I pretty much expected it.
I'm still like, talk to the hand. It's like, no words. And that's hard for me to have no words. I'm like, but some people will do for $1, I'm telling you. I have my standards. It's like, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. People, you have to have higher standards. Some of you I'm worried about. Be more courageous than that. Our world fell apart one uncourageous person at a time. Did I say that right? One coward at a time. Or one fearful person at a time. I'm not saying that, hey, we got this. But we do. Kinda. But I'm not snapping so happy with mocking my enemy, because I know full well what they're capable of. I'm just not going to cower to it. So that's real bravery, and I'm seeing all these people saying, oh, I'm being so brave. It's like, you being so brave? You're using my words. That's from my book. That's from my private conversation. That's from my video. How brave are you? I don't think so. Come on now. Nobody's writing my script. And if it's out there before we put this up online, we will sue you because you backdated it. Yeah. I like it when the inner bitch in me comes out, because I'm done with these people. I'd rather be sweet and loving. You know I was at that place. But really, you start doing this stuff to me and my beloveds, I've got to do something. We've got to do something. So, cheers. Okay, beautifuls and beloveds. So I hope you've enjoyed this little short series. I hope it gives you food for thought. Let us know what you think. If you know more, let us know. Because you're helping us, and you're helping yourself, and you're helping your children, your family, your friends. Because this is something that's affecting all of us, whether you realize it or not. Some may, to some extent. And I'm just happy that we finally, can put an end to this stupidity that's been happening in our lives. We didn't deserve it, and those who thought that, hey, let's do it, no more of that. So, you're gonna have to face me one day, and you're gonna have to tell me exactly, WTF, what the were you thinking? And why did you carry this torch? I know damn well you're not old enough to be the ones that started it. Yeah, this is going back a little bit. So, there's some kind of brotherhood, in a sense. Okay, we're signing off. He's punking out. I'm choking. Okay, love you. Bye, beautifuls and beloveds.